Who really killed President John F. Kennedy and why?
From what I'm familiar with, he was assassinated. Not necessarily by the person who was framed for the awful idea. This person was certainly involved in it, but there were numerous people in this conspiring, so to speak. The Kennedy person also brought some ideas to the forefront and would have steered the so-called Cold War into a way that would have become immediately not what the powers that be at the time would have wanted. Yes, the Kennedy person was also aware of certain information that could have been leaked to the public through him if he had not been stopped by those powers that be. So there was indeed something that you consider a government conspiracy, and he was replaced then with somebody who was more willing to play along. However, there were more than enough people that were willing to believe the official narrative still at this time. And if it happened in this day and age, it's unlikely that that would work again. And yes, your so-called space program was also a part of this, but at this particular point, it didn't play a major role. There was also the conflict with the Soviet Union at the time that could have subsided more easily, or it could have become more obvious that it was just a distraction if the Kennedy person would have had his way.
Okay, I see. All right.
Sects definitely play a large role that are in charge of your country, not in general the Freemasonic idea being in charge of your country. Are those groups, those lodges that are affiliated with the Illuminati were particularly strong on the society, I guess, personalities this time.
I see. Now, returning to the JFK assassination, there's a letter allegedly written by JFK to the CIA director dated November 12, 1963, which has the subject line, Classification Review of All UFO Intelligence Files Affecting National Security, and says, quote, as I have discussed with you previously, I have initiated, and then there's a blackened out part, but it continues, and have instructed James Webb to develop a program with the Soviet Union in joint space and lunar exploration. It would be very helpful if you would have the high threat cases reviewed with the purpose of identification of bona fide, as opposed to classified CIA and USAF sources. It is important that we make a clear distinction between the knowns and unknowns in the event the Soviets try to mistake our extended cooperation as a cover for intelligence gathering of their defense and space programs. When this data has been sorted out, I would like you to arrange a program of data sharing with NASA where unknowns are a factor. This will help NASA mission directors in their defense responsibilities. I would like an interim report on the data reviewed no later than February 1st, 1964, end quote. So, do you know if this letter was really written by JFK, or at least whether he was in fact planning to declassify intelligence files on UFOs and cooperate with the Soviets in space and lunar exploration?
The letter is definitely true, however, it wasn't just a Kennedy person. There was much greater collaboration between the West and the East than what was officially published. The Cold War was largely a facade, however, it doesn't necessarily mean that this letter is exactly truthful in the way it was written or forged. However, there was definitely an intention of the president at a particular time to carry out such a joint venture, as you're calling it. And again, a lot of the space race was to a large degree a false cover-up for a real space exploration. It was already much further ahead at the time.
So why were the people who killed him opposed to cooperating with the Soviet Union on space exploration?
It wasn't so much about that, it was more about the disclosure that could have come about of their space force being much further ahead, and also the conflict they had with another space program was entirely undisclosed.
Okay.
And obviously the existence of extraterrestrial life has been kept undercover since then.
Right.
It's very sad that this has led to such drama on your world, the mere existence of life in outer space, instead of to the great joy, happiness, and prosperity that it could have brought to your world. And it still has the potential to bring to your world should you ever arrive at that point. It really should not be a reason for conflict, suppression, and secrecy. When the same facts that are out there could indeed be the very reason for prospering civilization instead.
Right. Now, you had said before that our space program was a part of the assassination but didn't play a major role. Can you elaborate on what you meant?
Similar to what I just shared, it was one of the reasons that the president at a particular point in time was a security hazard towards the group we are termed Illuminati. They desire to keep a lid on the existence of extraterrestrial life, in particular and technological involvement. It was, as a sad story, but at this particular point was already about to be implemented and could have changed your planet back then to a true utopia compared to what it was, and certainly still to a larger degree than what it is today. Many of the inventions you're having today introduced to you are many decades old.
Right. So when you say our space program, do you mean NASA or our secret space program?
What you consider a secret space program, NASA is likely a false front for this. The line is very blurry, or
Right.
some in NASA are aware of this and others are completely clueless.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that Lee Harvey Oswald was involved in the assassination, but were there any other shooters besides him?
There was at least one more shooter who was maybe there in case he would miss, and this shooter was likely what you consider now an agent. We believe from the data that it is possible to me to be out that it was CIA personnel. This organization is also shrouded in mystery as there's numerous infiltration from other secret agencies. The whole secret agent scenario in your planet is largely infiltrated in each other, so it's difficult to say who is wearing what badge and who is really acting as someone with this badge and who is an infiltrator from another organization.
Right. So did any of Lee Harvey Oswald's bullets hit JFK?
I believe so.
Um, was Oswald mind controlled?
Somewhat. Not like he was literally on the push of a button, but he was traumatized and therefore he could be activated, as you call this. Not as you might say, like a robot or a person who is acting completely without conscience. Just like somebody who might go on a rampage today and is under the influence of drugs.
Right.
Just like somebody who is under the influence of alcohol acts out in a pub fight, for example.
Right. What about the man who shot and killed Oswald, Jack Ruby? Was he mind controlled?
He was perhaps more conscious of his actions, but he is also in on the whole, what you consider conspiracy.
Okay.
But there was a conspiracy within the conspiracy.
What does that mean? Can you elaborate?
Some people were not acting on behalf of the originators of the conspiracy and tried to push their own agendas through, or one side tried to fool the other side, and since one side was aware they were being fooled, they also decided to take this person out who could have otherwise witnessed something or shared something that would have thrown a bad light on the other organization. Your politics is very confusing on your planet, since you have so much discrepancy between your public image and what is being shared in your parliament and media and between what you're actually doing in a political arena.
Right. Now, are you able to exchange messages with the soul or spirit of JFK?
Not with the literal person that he is in this particular point in time when he was what you consider assassinated, but perhaps with soul fragment of his that have moved on.
Um, well, I mean, I don't know if this would be possible or not, but I'm wondering if it would be possible for you to ask him, like, why his higher self allowed him to be killed rather than allowing him to reveal to the world the truth about ETs. I mean, like, the way I understand it, I know that nobody can be killed unless their higher self agrees to it. So, would it be possible for you to send that question out to him and see if he responds?
I cannot bring this person to directly or ask him the same question that you have just inquired because he does not exist in this time frame the same way he did when he was in a human form. As here is not this particular person, but they can inquire from a higher self personality their idea that there was also a great fear that this could start another world war. So there was also a great uncertainty if this was the right thing or not. Whenever anybody in your world, be it history or politics or whatever, decides to do something and they're fully bent on achieving it, they usually do. It's just when they doubt themselves when they fail. This was just one example.
So, what you just shared about him being afraid that it would start another world war, was that what his higher self just shared?
Yes.
Okay.
Not that it just shared that, but from what I'm aware of when communicating with what the higher self is radiating in a sense, it's not like I'm sitting down at a table and talking to his higher self like I'm talking to you right now.
Right. Uh, well, can you ask his higher self what JFK, if he were alive, would consider to be his proudest achievement of his presidency?
Again, I'm not exactly communicating with his higher self the way I'm communicating with you, so I'm not asking questions, just reading what is there, so to speak, in a file cabinet, if you wish to have a metaphor.
Right. Uh, okay.
Proudest achievement is probably creation of something like peace in this particular point in time, as you might deem this rather insignificant since the Cold War was largely a farce. But there were other forces that wished to make it something like a hot war.
Right. Okay, cool. It's very, very interesting, Metax. Thank you.